welcome back to my Flosstube. So this is Flosstube number 3. For all you new subscribers, thank you so much for subscribing. I've only just started making these cross-stitch related videos, so thank you for supporting the channel. And for all the old subscribers, thank you for sticking around. So I thought I could do a bit of an introduction to start with, and then I'll go into the depths of the cross-stitch stuff. So I live in Sydney in Australia, but I was born in Iran, and I've always enjoyed craft. So at the moment I'm mostly into cross-stitch, but I also do crochet and knitting. I'm also really into plants, gardening and houseplants. If you've seen some of my older videos, I've got over 150 houseplants. I think I had more than 200 at one point, but I've kind of whittled them down. So you may have noticed the name of the channel has changed from Leela Compost to Crafty Yams. And that's to reflect that there'll be more of a craft focus to the videos, but I'm still very much into plants, and I thought I would highlight one houseplant in each episode and just talk about the care tips for that plant and what I like about that plant. So since I'm new to Flosstube, I thought I would also tell you a bit about myself. So I work as a psychiatry registrar, which means I'm training to be a psychiatrist. In the past, I've trained in general surgery, and I found that crafting and sewing, cross-stitch, knitting sort of satisfies that urge I had for doing procedures and sewing things. So obviously, now that I'm working in psychiatry, there's no surgery in psychiatry, thankfully, since the 1950s. But I've found that the cross-stitch and the other crafting keeps me sane. On a side note, there really isn't that much difference between crafting and the fine motor skills you need to operate on a human. I know that may sound a bit bizarre, and the old white male surgeons are probably turning in their graves, but the fine sewing skills you need to hem a pair of pants are exactly the same as the sewing skills you use to anastomose a bowel. So that's cutting out part of a bowel, restitching the bowel together. So I guess my point is, they'll make you think that surgery is really complicated and women can't do it, but women have been crafting and doing these sort of fine motor, precise skills for centuries. So if anything, women are more better suited to surgery than men. So that's my high horse. I can talk more about that later. The difficulty in surgery at the moment really comes from managing post-op complications, knowing clinically what to do with the post-op complications, knowing when not to operate. But studies have shown that women have better post-operative outcomes, women surgeons, compared to men in all those realms as well. Anyway, I don't know why I've gotten onto that tangent, but back to stitching. So I'll go through, first of all, my finished objects, my works in progress, my finishes, upcoming projects, and at the end I'll talk about one of my favorite houseplants. Okay, so first of all, some finished objects. If you follow me on Instagram, you may have seen these already. I post more frequently on there than the videos. So this is Barbara Anna's most recent stitch along. It was called Floral Dreams. So when I started stitching this, it's a mystery stitch along, so I had no idea what the end product would be, but I was so pleased with the end result. I just love the color palette she's used, just these muted greens, pinks, purples. So I used the called for palette, but I used a different linen. I couldn't find her called for linen in Australia, so it was like a metallic blue, but I think the end result is still fine. And I think this is the first piece I've framed that I've actually been happy with the framing, because normally I've got no idea what I'm doing when I frame them. I just kind of bungle them in and shove the back closed. But for this one, I bought this sticky cardboard thing. I think I've used it all, but it's basically a sticky sheet of cardboard, and I pressed this onto it, and then I shoved it into here, and it had a good effect in that you kind of press down the linen on the cardboard, but I didn't press down the stitches so much, so it sort of looks like the stitches are raised a bit from the background. But yeah, I love all the cute little details she's put into this, like the curly thing here, and the cat. I love cats. So yeah, I want to stitch more Barbara Anna. I'm just kind of deciding what to stitch next. So I've got one more finished object. This one is by the Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery. I'll put the links below. So this is called Legendary Friends, and I made this for my daughter because she loves unicorns. I used the different colors to what they've called for. I just used whatever I had in my stash, and I used a darker linen to what the pattern said. So their pattern was more of a pastel kind of palette, and I used this glow in the dark DMC. So I don't know if anyone has used that before. I hadn't. I just thought I'd try it, and I was really pleasantly surprised by the amount that it glows. Like, I thought it would just be like those little adhesive stars that you stick on the ceiling that don't really glow that much, but this is like glowing green at nighttime. I'll try and take photos of it, but I don't know how I'm going to capture something that glows in the dark, but I'm really impressed by the glow in the darkness of this. So this was very quick to stitch. I think it took me about 2 days of stitching to get this done. I didn't do all of the border because I knew I would put it in a round frame, and I find when something has a square border and you put it in a round frame, it just doesn't look right. So I kind of saved time on doing that. And yeah, this will go in my daughter's room. So those are the only 2 finishes I have, because I've got a massive list of works in progress. It's just exponentially blown out. So I'll try and show you as many as I can. If this video becomes too long, I will just let's split it in 2 or something. But anyway, I'll start with the stitch alongs. So there's a few stitch alongs I've been doing. This is the Gnomeville stitch along. Ooh, it's a bit sunny today, so it's hard to get the lighting right, but this is what I've done so far. Here it is. So this is also a mystery stitch along. So this is by Little Dove Designs, and she releases one part of this every month. I'm quite behind with what she's up to, so there's meant to be a house here, but I'm slowly getting there. I changed the colors. I just used whatever colors I had in my stash, and I love this rainbow thread I found. It was from Cottage Garden Threads, which are this great Australian company that hand dyes their threads. And yeah, so this is a fun project. It's not too onerous stitching this. You can tell the motifs are not that complicated. Yeah, so I've been enjoying that. So the other stitch along, I will just grab it. Okay, so this is Modern Folk Embroidery 2022 stitch along. Again, I'm not up to date with the month I'm supposed to be up to. So they, for the month of May, they've released, well, he's released up to here. So I'm slowly getting there. I've changed a few things, as you can see. This was meant to be angels holding up a crown, but I don't know, I didn't really want to put angels into this, so I just put cats into it because everything needs more cats, and there was already birds, so I thought it kind of fit with the theme. And then I made a few mistakes in the crown, and then I just kind of ended up changing the crown to fit with the mistakes. So it is, if you look closely, it's not exactly the same pattern as what it's meant to be, but I'm pretty happy with it. I'm slowly getting there. So this is a 12-month mystery stitch along. So you can see there's still going to be a huge amount of stitching left to go. Yeah. And I haven't obviously been using the called for thread. It's just meant to be black, but I've been swapping out black for various colors, trying to add accents of color here and there. I'll use some cottage garden variegated threads for this too. So I think they're the only 2 stitch alongs I'm doing. So I'll move on to works in progress. So actually I lied, there's another kind of stitch along. So this is meant to be a cheetah. I kind of abandoned it mid-stitch for some reason. I think I was doing it while I was working and then I had to go somewhere. But yes, so this is from the Primitive Hare, who I've discovered recently and who has such amazing designs. I think she's from Italy. She's a designer. So I'll try and show you this without showing the pattern. But so she's got something called the Early Stitches Club, where you can sign up, and then she releases a pattern every couple of months, and she also sends you some linen and other surprise kind of stitchy things throughout the year. So I joined this Early Stitches Club, and you get access to these like secret patterns that are just for the club. So the first pattern was this cheetah, and the pattern's called, I'm trying to find a picture of the finished thing, but I'll just put it up in the video later. It's called Kitty Kitty, and it's like a kind of antique looking cheetah, if that makes sense. So I hadn't ever stitched a cheetah before, so I thought it would be fun. I didn't use the called for threads because I wanted to get rid of stuff in my stash, so I'm just using just approximate colors that I had, and it looks okay. Like a cheetah's just brown and yellow, so you can't really stuff that up. Yeah, so I'm slowly making progress on that. So that's all the stitch alongs. I'll show you what else. Okay, so this is a project that I wish I had made more progress on because I like it so much. I'm just trying to find a picture of it I can show you that won't show you the pattern. So how cute is that lion? I just love the way, I love the facial expression of that lion and the colors and this bird. Like, this pattern is just so bright and pretty. So this is from a Japanese designer called Kyoko Maruoka, also known as GERA, and her patterns are available on Creative Poppy. So it was actually a different Flosstuber that got me onto this designer. Her name's Little by Piku, and she's got a great Flosstube channel as well. I'll put the link below. But she's stitched a few of these designs, and I saw this one and I just had to start stitching it despite having like 20 projects already. So I kitted up the project. It has, like a ton of DMCs that you need. Like, it's obviously very colorful pattern, so it needs a lot of colors, but I didn't realize just how many colors. I think this is about like $50 worth of different colored yarns. So I've started this project. You probably can't really tell what part of it this is. That's meant to be the book she's reading. I'm trying to orient this properly. Yes, that's some flowers and that's a book. So it's a very rudimentary start. By the way, how good is this needle minder? So this is from a company, Ginger Stitches AU, an Australian company that makes needle minders that I've been obsessed with lately. I'll also link them below. I love how the cross stitch community has so many sort of small, independent, creative businesses that you can just support by doing this stuff. Yeah. So I want to work on this some more. I might make this a priority in the next month. Okay, so this bag has a few things in it. So it's a witchy bag, so I've tried to put all my witchy cross stitch in here. It's also got non-witchy stuff, but anyway. Oops. Okay, so this has been really fun to stitch. So this is sort of a design that started off being by the Laurel witch. So she makes these witch cross stitch women, as well as other things, but mostly these witches that you can either stitch on linen, stitch like a frame, or you can stitch and stuff them and have a little toy. So I saw this spider one and I knew I had to stitch it because I have a few spiders in my house that I'd like to call pets, but they're not really pets because I don't look after them. They look after themselves, but I kind of like to observe them. There's one in the window that's been there for a few years now. It just catches flies. It does its own thing. It's a black house spider. So I know people probably think Australia is full of dangerous, venomous spiders, but this is a very harmless spider. I think the genus name is Mama or something. It's funny, it has mama in its name, as you'll find out soon, because this spider lays an egg sac and then the babies eat the mother. So apparently this is a thing. I can't remember the name for it. It's like matrophagy, when the babies have to eat the mother spider to survive. Yes, so very odd. And I have to remind people when they come in my house that I've left that cobweb there on purpose, and not to freak out. It's just the friendly house spider. So anyway, I've stitched the Laurel Witch design, but I thought it wanted to add a bit more to it. So I found this quote about spiders. I've only put half of it here, but it's meant to say, "If you wish to live and thrive, let a spider run alive." And it's actually a Quaker quote. And if you know much about Quakers, they did a lot of cross-stitching and their quotes are often cross-stitched. So I thought it was appropriate. And I added some little more spiders around the letters. This is in the glow-in-the-dark floss as well. But not this part. I bought the glow-in-the-dark floss after I bought the dress floss. Yeah, so I just need to put the rest of the text here and this will be done. Now, so this is not a witch-themed one. This is from Owlforest Embroidery. I've got an unboxing video of these too if you're interested, but so this is the progress I've made on it. It's called Hive or Honey. Sorry, one of the chickens is just at the window. I wonder if I can show you. No, that is probably too hard, but chickens like to spy on me while I do things in the room. I think they just want more food. But anyway, joy of chickens, if you've ever had them, they're very funny. Yeah, so this has been fun to stitch. I just haven't made much progress on it because of all the other pieces, but I really like the variegated yarns and how, like, these bees were all stitched with the same yarn color, but they've all turned out different colors, which was cool. Speaking of Owlforest, I guess now I should show you all the Owlforest kits I've been hoarding. So hold on while I'm here. This is Henny. She likes to hang out by my window and beg for food, even though she's already got food. Hi, Henny. Okay, so Owlforest kits. I feel like I've been hoarding these because I've started on one, and I've told myself I'm not going to start on the others until I finish that one that the bee one that I've shown you. But every time I see these, I just have to buy more. They're from Russia, so obviously very difficult to find at the moment. So this one is, I think it's called fish stew, and I really liked how it just looks like a recipe for fish stew, but in a pattern. And it comes with you know, everything you need, all the flosses. I think their flosses are just so pretty. So I haven't started this, but this is the one I want to start next. And I've got two more. So these I actually bought from an Etsy store that resells the kits from America, because there's really no other way to get them at the moment. This one is called City of Cats, and I had to get this because of the name. There's actually a short story by Haruki Murakami called City of Cats. So the story is about this city that has human-sized cats that come alive at night. It's very bizarre, like all of Murakami's stuff. But this just reminded me of a scene in that story where the city is just overrun with these humanoid cats. And yeah, like all their other kits, it comes with a needle minder that kind of has a theme in line with the design. And the threads are variegated, really nice. So then I got another kit. These I got from Charting Creations, which is a US website that still sells some of their kits. This one's sold out though, but this is Bayern Whale. No, sorry, it's called Monster Wonder Whale. Yeah, I really like these maritime themed cross stitch. This is also on the two stitch list that hasn't been started yet. Okay, what else? All right, so this is a design I really like. It's called The Wheel of the Year Sampler by The Wishing Thorn. I like it because it's witchy and it's got spiders in it. So that's enough for me to stitch something. I'll show you the finished pattern. So The Wishing Thorn, she's a designer that has a lot of different samplers in her store. She does reproduction samplers as well as original samplers. This ended up not printing very well. So I'll put a picture of it in the video. This is also just a black and white one of what it will look like. And it's based on the Celtic / pagan calendar. So each line in this represents a season. So I've done Ostara and Imbolc. I can't remember what they correspond to at the moment. And this one's meant to be the Yuletide season. So it kind of looks like Christmas. And this also has some beads incorporated into it. So I've ordered the beads, just waiting for them to come. But this has been really fun to stitch. It's a quick stitch. So each of these lines only took me a couple of hours. So I think it'd be pretty easy to finish this in a month if I did it kind of once a week or twice a week. And I haven't been using the called for threads. So I've been trying to use as much of these cottage garden threads as I can, just because they're so pretty. So instead of where it asks for brown, I'm planning to use this color, Compost. And then this I also really like, it's called Spruce. So I thought, like with cottage garden threads, they look a lot like the Owlforest threads, so they'd probably be a good substitute. because you can't get the Owlforest threads from Russia. Okay, so this, I've got a cat bag because it's got my cat designs. This is one I was excited to receive in the mail. Just trying to find the cover art. So this is cat collage. How cool is that? So there's an artist called Laurel Burch, and she paints these cats in this style. So she's got heaps of paintings of cats and dogs and fish and other things in this style. And then some of her designs have been made into cross-stitch work. So I saw this, it was really hard to find this online. I had to ship it from some American cross-stitch store on Etsy, but it came eventually. And yeah, I was really excited to start stitching this. So I'll show you what I've done. I haven't done much, and there is a reason for that. So it's a kit. So it came with the Ada, it came with the floss, but the Ada felt really wrong. So it was extremely starchy, difficult to stitch on. It felt like I was stitching on cardboard, and it just wasn't pleasant to do this. So I washed it, like hand washed it with soap, put it in the dryer, and it's still starchy. Like I can't believe after what it's been through, it's still stiff like cardboard. So I can't really work out what to do to make it softer. If anyone's got any tips, let me know, comment below. The other problem is the cats are like huge. So stitching this took me, I don't know, 2 or 3 hours of stitching, which is way too many stitches for like not even finishing one cat. So I kind of got fed up and stopped doing it. But I really like the end result, so I want to get there eventually. But I've just kind of put this on hold for now. Okay, so we're getting there. This is one of the chatelaines I've been doing. So this is mushroom and fern. I like this needle minder. This is from another Etsy needle minder company called Inchworm Designs, and this just reminded me of Death from in Discworld. I just started listening to Discworld on audiobook while stitching, so I thought I needed to buy this. So this is the central mandala in mushroom and fern. It's been quite slow. I thought I'd start the beading, but then the beading was not fun, so I gave up on that. Now I'm just kind of doing this specialty stitches, and I don't know, I kind of pick it up once a week, do it for a bit, and then get bored. And I couldn't find the wool. It's like baby spinach, the gentle art wool, some very specific type of wool that's called for. Just wasn't available anywhere, so I got a different brand of wool, but I've got the wrong color. I've realized it's meant to be more of a forest green, so now I'm gonna have to unpick it, and I just couldn't be bothered doing that, so I'm just gonna leave this for a bit probably. There's another chatelaine, the Poison Garden, that I also started on, but I only have one of the required threads, so I'm waiting on the kit to come from European Cross Stitch, and it takes months for that to arrive. Okay, so more works in progress. I can't remember. Yes, this is more of a future work. So I got this Mirabilia Nora Corbett pattern. It's called the Witching Hour. I like how she's holding a cup of tea and that there's a cat in it. So this was kitted up for me by, let me see, Exquisite Cross Stitch, which is a really good online company I found, and they provided me with the linen, the threads, and the beads, all for a reasonable price. I'm happy with that. These are the threads, and I just haven't started this yet because I've got so many other projects, but it's definitely on the to-do list. Okay, so this one I showed you last video. So this is the Amida Falls by ORENCO Originals. This is the only full coverage piece I'm doing other than cat collage, but so this is a full coverage reproduction of an artwork by a Japanese artist, Hokusai. So he also did the great wave painting that you probably would have seen before. So I'm up to this final area here. I must say this company had really good customer service. So ORENCO Originals, they've got a lot of pieces that are just reproductions of old paintings. And so I got up to this last square and I realized I'd lost the paper. I'd lost the pattern for this square because it comes in, I got it as a print copy in the mail. I didn't have the PDF, and it came in several pages, and I just somehow misplaced this final page. So I was in a bit of a panic. I was thinking, oh, I'm going to have to buy the pattern again and then wait for it to ship because it came from America. It took a while. But I emailed the company and kind of I explained like I'd lost the last page of the pattern. Can I buy a PDF of it? And they just sent me the PDF for free, which is really nice. I don't think there's many big companies that would do that. So yeah, ORENCO Originals, good customer service. So this one, I want to just do some monogamous stitching on this for the next month because I really want to get this finished. There's another full coverage piece by ORENCO Originals that I want to start. It's of a raven. It's also based on a painting by a Japanese artist. So I want to finish this so I can start that one. Okay, so this is my first long dog sampler. So I chose this one, Sansuki. Mostly because I like this little panel here with the fish and the duck. So I've made a start on this, but the progress is slow. So I've decided not to have it just all black. I'm adding some accents of color here and there. I really like these sections of black work. They make the stitching more interesting, so you're not just constantly cross stitching. And I've used some like variegated threads instead of black over here. So I'm slowly working on this. Still a lot to go. This is going to be one that I probably will have for a few years working on. There's more. So this is the Shores of Hawk Run Hollow. So I really like these maritime themed cross stitches, and I was so excited to get this pattern. There's a few in the Hawk Run Hollow series. There's a Halloween one, I think a Christmas one, springtime one, possibly, all in the same design. So I got the Shores of Hawk Run Hollow. I've had this for about a month and a half, and I must say, although I like the design, stitching it is not as fun as I thought it would be. There's a low stitch to reward ratio, if that makes sense. So this is 32 count linen, 2/2, and it's just so slow. Like this lighthouse took me a few stitching sessions, and I'm not a particularly slow stitcher, and it's just a bit tedious. Once I did I haven't even finished the lighthouse, but once I moved on to the rest of it, it was a bit more enjoyable, but still I don't know, maybe it's because the linen is dark. It's just not as fun to stitch as I thought it would be. So this one is a slow one. I don't know how long it will take me to finish this, but it will take a while. I really like the color palette for this, so it's got a lot of the muted greens and teals. Teal, topical if you're in Australia at the moment, given the election result. But anyway, yes, I like this color way. I think this is the last one. Yes, for now. So this is by Blue Flower Stitching, which is another independent cross-stitch designer that I've discovered, and I really love her designs. I ended up buying like 4 of her patterns from her website. I just couldn't not have them. So this one is called From Nature to My Needle, and it's got a quote, like I haven't finished writing the quote, but it's, I count not my day complete till needle, thread and fabric meet. Though I thought it should be called, I count not my day complete till I spend 3 hours stitching a moth's wing on a Monday morning, which is totally normal and cool. But I love this moth. It wasn't hard, it wasn't bad to stitch. I enjoyed stitching, even though it took ages. I decided to use 40 count linen for the first time. This is 1/1, which I enjoyed more than I thought I would. Yeah, and I love these little notions here. I'll show you what it is meant to look like. Okay, so that's the finished pattern. Yeah, so this might also take me a while. So that's it for works in progress. I thought I would also show you some patterns that I've bought. Okay, so I've got this like binder of patterns that I've kind of hoarded more patterns in that I need, but I've got a few Barbara Annas that I want to start. So like I showed you earlier, I just finished Floral Dreams. I was thinking of starting Woodland Dreams, but I didn't have the required thread, and I thought I didn't want to just go with random threads because her colorways are just so well thought out. They're often only a few colors, like 5 or 6, that really go well together. So I'll have to wait for the threads for that. Also, I'm quite indecisive, so I couldn't decide if I wanted to do Woodland Dreams or Frida Kahlo. I think I might do Frida Kahlo first. And she had a few other designs for free on her Instagram, so I printed those out too. I don't know why I thought I would have like so much time to stitch everything this month, but I've got them somewhere. Anyway, oh, this is another pattern I bought that I really liked. So this is from Not Forgotten Farm. And it's called Feeding the Bees, and it says, please mind the weeds. No, wait, what's it? Pardon the weeds, I'm feeding the bees. And it just reminded me of my garden at the moment. Both the front yard, the backyard are just overgrown. Not even room for a person to stand in there. So I wanted to stitch this one day and maybe put it at the front door. What else have I got here? Oh yes, so I mentioned I went to the Blue Flower website and just bought a bunch of patterns. This is another one I really liked. So that's called Night Walk Down. This was before I had the color printer, so pictures aren't that exciting to look at. Oh yes, I bought a few more ORENCO. Oof, what am I doing? I bought a few more ORENCO originals that I haven't started yet. So this is koi. I love fish. So this is a full coverage piece, which I haven't started, but I'm waiting to finish the Amida Falls before I do that one. This is the raven design that I mentioned. I don't know if the cover art, this is not very helpful, but can you kind of see a raven there? I'll put an image of it here, but this is one I want to start next after I finish Amida Falls. This is a design I really liked. So this was by Pixel Pixie Cross Stitch, who's on Instagram, and I'll put a link to her shop below. But I love these deep sea anglers and the quote. So this is also on my to-do list. As you can see, the to-do list is long and time is short. Okay, so these are a bit more exciting because you can actually see the colored pattern. But here's some patterns that I just bought paper copies of. This one, Plum Street Samplers. I like the subtle buzz off here, and I like ravens and bees. So this was a must-have, even though I don't know when I'm going to start this. Oh, this one I really liked. So this is by Blue Flower, and it's called the Moonlight Samplers. And this quote here is just so beautiful. So it's though my soul may set in darkness, it will rise in perfect light. I have loved the stars too fondly to be fearful of the night. It's actually a quote from a poem, The Astrologer. It's an old poem. I'll put the link below. But it was the dying words of an astrologer to a student. And I thought it was so beautiful. It's also on my to-do list. I was going to stitch it on 40 count linen. I think there's a shortage of 40 count linen from what I've seen in the online store. So I'm waiting for some more to come in. So this is the other design I really liked from the Blue Flower. It's called Moggy Manor. So I really like the idea behind this. So Janine McGowan is the designer, and she's said you can sort of customize the cats to be cats that you've had in your life, and you can change the writing or change the names here to be the cats' names that you've had. And I thought that was a great idea. I've had 3 cats in my life, 3 or 4. I've currently got a cat, but the other 3 sort of I had since I was 5, and now I'm 37. So obviously they've sort of passed on. So I thought I would try and include colorways for the cats that I've had. Yeah, there's something very mystical about cats. I feel like they're unknowable. Like a dog, I understand how a dog's mind works. A dog is just all the good aspects of a human condensed in a furry thing. But a cat, unknowable. And I find I get really weird dreams with my cats in them. I don't know, but not my dog. Only cats kind of enter my dreams in this weird mystical way. I remember one of the cats I had lived till he was 22 or some bizarrely long age, but his name was Stimpy. He was living with my parents, and I had a dream that he had died, and then that day he did actually die, but I hadn't talked to my parents for weeks, so I had no way of knowing that. Just, things like that have happened make me think, cats, what is up with them? Are they some celestial being? Probably. Okay, so on to the houseplant section of the video. So every video I thought I would showcase a houseplant and tell you a bit about it. This is Begonia maculata. If you are in the houseplant community, this was the it plant maybe 6 years ago. I mean, it's still pretty popular, but it was one of the plants everyone wanted about 6 years ago. sorry, it's got these lovely variegated dotty leaves, and they're quite easy to look after. So begonias, they don't like to have wet roots, so you keep the soil bone dry pretty much and just water it when it's bone dry. To avoid overwatering it, I put it in this terracotta pot. Terracotta pots are very porous, they breathe, so it's almost impossible to overwater something if you've got it in a terracotta pot. These pots in particular I really like. I get them from Flower Power. Sometimes they have them and I just kind of buy them all when I see them. I like the old look of it. If anything, I think the terracotta pot is drying this plant out too much because it's kind of got this bonsai form now. I have another one that is in a normal pot, which is a lot bigger. The leaves are a lot bigger too. But this one I thought I'd show you just because I think it's interesting how it's kind of bonsai'd itself from my neglect. So the soil is pretty dry at the moment. Oh no, it's okay. So see, this is the amount of wetness it likes in the soil. It's a very sandy soil, so that's the other thing. They don't like rich kind of composty soil. So the soil I've put it in is mostly bark and sand and some potting mix. They have a dormant period in winter, so it's coming up to winter here now, so I'm surprised it's still doing pretty well. Usually they kind of curl up, drop their leaves and look dead during winter and then come back in spring when the weather warms up. But we've had a very long, kind of humid, weird year, so I think all the houseplants have done really well because of the high humidity. This one as well. So I think it's just hanging on from that, and we'll probably, when it gets cold, we'll lose its leaves again. So this has pink flowers. This one hasn't flowered, probably because it's so stressed in this dry pot. But I've had them flower before and they're really nice. You can actually eat the flowers. They taste a bit citric acidy. Yeah, this is one of my favorite houseplants because it's so low maintenance. I think I only water it once a month, or if it's drooping, I remember, oh, I should water that. You literally don't have to do anything else. Yes. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you haven't subscribed already, like and subscribe. I'll try and put out one of these floss tubes every month. So my WIPs, works in progress, have increased exponentially in the last month. I've tried to slow it down a bit, but knowing me, I'll probably have more next month as well. See you then.